Reconsidering my 26-year-old male's engagement after my fiancée, who's 25, didn't stick up for her sister at our engagement party. What didn't she defend her sister against, you may ask? Oh, just a dear auntie accusing that sister of possibly being a whore and deserving to be raped? Yeah, nothing. No big deal at all. Hello, my snacks. Welcome back. My name is Jack, and let's just dive straight into this two-parter story. For the sake of this, I'm going to call my fiancée Claire. We go back to high school, but only started dating in 2019. Claire's extended family didn't meet me for Thanksgiving or Christmas for the past 2 years, and this holiday is supposed to be the first since pre-COVID. There was also a family reunion that was cancelled due to COVID, so Claire's parents wanted to invite a lot of people to our engagement party because it was the first meeting in so long. However, the meeting is making me reconsider for a few reasons. Claire didn't want a specific aunt, Janice, to come to the party because she is a handful to deal with. But because they hadn't seen her in almost 2 years, her parents said they were inviting her anyway. Understandable. It's not like as if it's Claire's engagement party. Why would she get a say? Next you're telling me that Claire should decide who gets to come to the wedding too. Ridiculous! Janice has a history of arguing elections, along with voicing disagreements on Facebook that lead to ugly back and forths. She was also outspoken about family who were vaccinated, and posted about her disappointment too. She disagrees for religious reasons, she is a Christian, and don't get me started on how she thinks the election was stolen. She is the cause of so much nonsense, but Claire's parents didn't want to exclude her to avoid drama. I offered to talk to her parents myself, but Claire asked me not to. I love that parents' logic. We know Janice is renowned for causing drama, but we've got to invite her so we can avoid any drama. The reason I'm writing this is because of something that happened at the party. Claire's sister, Hannah, performed a dance that her parents asked her to, but Janice told her parents that it wasn't appropriate for a lot of reasons that made me disgusted. Hannah is 14. She performed a contemporary dance to a song her parents wanted, and she wore a dress too. Well, Janice said that some of the moves were inappropriate when no one else thought so. Her dance also received great reception, but Janice took to Facebook to bash Claire's parents, along with posting a picture of the performance that Claire's parents posted themselves. She said they were failures at parenting for allowing it, and that it wasn't supposed to be a strip club. This is the kind of person Janice is, and some other relatives called her out for it too. Not gonna lie, very therapeutic to see that the victim of Janice's spite right now, aside from Hannah, is the very people that thought that she should come. What sweet just desserts. But Claire's parents have said nothing, and told Claire to let it pass because they don't engage in drama. But I disagree, because she called her a stripper and used their photos. I asked Claire for Janice's number to talk to her myself, but she refused to give it to me because, others replied already. But that's not an excuse for Hannah's family to not stick up for her, but Claire wants to let it pass. I vented to one of my friends who said Claire might not stick up for her children if we have them. And he also said she shouldn't need her parents' approval for everything. After I vented, I tried to talk again about why I felt it was inappropriate and important to stand up for Hannah. But she kept echoing her parents and staying out of it. And that's why I'm reconsidering. I just wanted to get another opinion though, and how to talk to her again, because I've tried twice and it went nowhere. Now, there has been a bit of back and forth with this sort of story so far. Some say, sadly, it's her parents' personal family business. You don't want to jump in the middle of that. Then people start taking a side, and it can get ugly really fast. It's best to stay clear of it. Trust me, there are no winners in family feuds. I think a certain mustache gentleman would disagree. Someone also has a larger, more in-depth opinion here that I'm just going to leave on the screen. I won't read it all because we're going to go to the update, but to summarize, they basically imply that you should listen to their side of the family. They clearly have been around Janice the most. They know that this is the healthiest and easiest and most simplest relieving way to deal with her BS. But then also you might argue against that, saying that, as Just a P here says, being neutral is a misuse of privilege. Hannah is a kid in a family that teaches about avoiding confrontation. She cannot defend herself. When someone insults her, a part of her will believe that she is inadequate. And that's all because her parents don't want to be uncomfortable. Unlike those other relatives who commented on Janice's post, why don't they mind the drama? Because the damage Janice can cause on their young niece is much bigger than their desire to stay out of Janice's radar. They are aware that they have a responsibility to use their adult position, privilege, to protect those who don't have it. But that said though, it really was Claire's parents allowing this all to happen from the get-go, not exactly Claire. After all, as you stated at the start of the story, Claire wasn't trying to invite Janice. She was trying to make sure she didn't come. Seems again a case of the fact that maybe you just need to trust that your partner knows her family more than you do, and wasting time and energy trying to change them is just, yeah, a wasteful effort. So, with all that advice received, we get an update. I talked to my fiancé again yesterday after some of the advice I received, but I want to clear up a few misunderstandings from my first post. So, Hannah is 14 and was asked to dance to a song her parents chose at the engagement party. Janice didn't like the dance for the dress she wore. When Hannah's parents posted the album of the party on Facebook, Janice downloaded a picture of the performance and reposted it to her personal Facebook alongside a rant. In her rant, she called her performance porn while alluding to the picture she reposted. She also said it gave off stripper vibes and that people who dress like her ask to be raped. So just a respectful opinion, you know, nothing big. When I asked to call Janice myself, that was an emotional reaction that would have been out of my place. Like, I'm glad I made the post so that others could tell me, and thank you to everyone who did. I never dealt with someone like Janice before, but I want to explain why I was reconsidering our engagement because many said I was wrong to do so, that I was trying to get involved for drama's sake, and that brings me to my update. We talked for a third time, the first since my first post, from the perspective of some of the advice I received, and I asked my parents for advice too. I also asked Claire to voice how she felt about me in this situation because I also wanted to hear her out. So, in the update, when we talked, Claire said she wanted to invite Janice to the wedding, after talking to her parents and Janice's post about Hannah, because it'd be more drama if they didn't. When I asked her how she could still invite her after what she said about Hannah, she said Janice's comments weren't a big deal again. So, I asked her something that someone suggested in a comment. When I asked how she'd feel if Janice hypothetically made that comment about her potential daughter, she said I was overblowing the porn comment because it wasn't worth not inviting her over. When I asked her about the rape comment, she said to move on because it'd be forgotten soon. She also said she'd tell her daughter to not take everything personally if Janice said the same thing about her. She also said that Hannah was probably looking at that stuff already. I was already bothered by her wanting to invite Janice before our third talk, but after having it, I was surprised by how much she doubled down and saw no fault in Janice's post. She also said that Janice disapproved of her doing ballet when she was younger, so Hannah needed to grow a spine when she was hurt by the post. That comment bothered me, and my parents said she might be upset that I care about Hannah because no one might have or cared or defended her at that age. Ooh, damn, parents, that's a very good point. Didn't even consider that myself. They also said she saw no fault in Janice's actions because her family normalized it years ago. Dad also said she might have similar remorse to our potential children, and Claire said that Janice was coming regardless of what I thought. She was also upset when I told her I reported the Facebook post Janice made. I want to add that I never told or wanted them to engage in a Facebook comment battle with Janice. I just became upset because Hannah is a minor whose picture was used without her consent and called porn online. Something they think is no big deal. The parents asked Hannah to perform at the party, but didn't defend her when her aunt cyberbullied her. Now, I've lurked long enough to know that people usually question past behavior that led to situations, but before the engagement party, I didn't see this side of her. We didn't have Janice outbursts the past 2 years due to COVID and not meeting for the holidays. The only exception was her rant about family who became vaccinated. Claire and I were excluded from that because we weren't involved and weren't hosting Thanksgiving or Christmas. Some family tried to convince her to become vaccinated to meet for the holidays, but she refused, which led to her rant. technically, Janice has no issues with Claire now after blaming Claire's parents who allowed Hannah to perform. And when she said that the porn comment wasn't bad, despite being a minor, I told her that I was reconsidering our engagement because she couldn't see how Janice cyberbullying a 14-year-old was wrong, on top of wanting to still invite her to the wedding. She said she's not budging, and that's her stance, even when I offered no contact with Janice going forward. Aside from being surprised, I'm probably going to discuss cancelling with my parents after talking to her for the third time. Quick edit. I tried to suggest going no contact or blocking Janice after not inviting her to the wedding so that she wouldn't have to tolerate a likely Facebook rant. However, she refused and said she'd still hear about it from other relatives who'd take her side. When I suggested telling others that she didn't want to hear about Janice, she said she wasn't about to block her entire family. Also, this wasn't the first time Janice disapproved of the sports she and Hannah did. She also did dance when she was younger, and Janice voiced her opinion then too. But they told Claire to toughen up, and she explained that as her reasoning for saying Hannah needed to grow a spine. So where does that leave it then? Is he justified to believe that this woman isn't worth having kids with, or is he possibly just jumping the gun a bit too much over his newfound experience and exposure to the Janice? I do personally find it kind of strange to throw out an entire relationship and future over this sort of disagreement, but at the same time, when you look at it on a deeper level, you understand. Imagine your own child growing up and experiencing this from someone, this cyberbullying and harassment from your own family. How could you double down in this sense of just grow up? Like, okay, they're millennials just like me, and 9 out of 10 of us have grown up through some sort of issues due to our parents. How is she not self-aware enough to notice that this is something that she's gotten from her parents pushing on her, and it's not a good thing? Just because you were told to toughen up when you were a kid doesn't mean that that's something you should have to do as a kid towards your own family's insults. Honestly, it really sounds like your fiancé is someone who would resort to hitting their child as discipline because they were hit when they were younger. Because why see a professional about your issues when you could project them onto a smaller, weaker being who can't fight back? We'll now move on to another wedding story, with Opie's friends suddenly doing a 180 in personality only for them to realize that their life has been hell. So am I the a-hole for refusing to get my best friend a wedding gift? I'm a 23 female. I've known my best friend, who's 24, let's call her Maria, since we were babies. We have been inseparable our whole lives, and she is like a sister to me. We both grew up in a poor area, and our families struggle a lot with money. We are both in our final year of college now, and I don't have a lot of money to spare. I have lots of student debt, and I work 2 jobs to have enough money for food and rent, etc. We both go to a very prestigious college, so we have worked very hard to get to where we are. But around 6 months ago, Maria met a guy at the shop she works at, called Mike, 33-year-old male. They started dating pretty quickly, and Mike is very rich. He is the definition of living off daddy's money. At first, I was a little bit skeptical, as obviously Mike is quite a bit older than her, but hey, she seemed happy. After a month of them dating, Maria had changed a lot. She was missing lectures and tests to go on last-minute holidays to Dubai, Paris, New York, etc., and always coming back with designer accessories. After 3 months, she moved in with Mike, which upset me as I had to sell all our shared apartment stuff because I couldn't afford the rent myself. I thought they were moving very quickly, but I didn't want to seem jealous or petty by bringing it up. So around a month ago, Mike proposed to Maria, and she accepted. I was happy for her, but after she told me her plans, I was shocked. Maria's dream since we were kids was to work for NASA, and she has worked so hard for this. She has taken internships there and was planning to apply there for next year. But her new plan is to get married, graduate college, and move to LA with Mike and become a housewife. The wedding is planned for this December, and it is the most lavish, expensive wedding that you could think of. Her bridal shower is next week, and she asked me to be the maid of honor. While I don't approve of her plans, of course I said yes. She's inviting me and some of her new rich friends she's met through Mike to the shower, and she made a group chat with all of us in it. She sent us a list of the presents she wanted, which took me by surprise because this list included designer items and luxury furniture that I could definitely not afford. The cheapest was $550. I had plans to get her something sentimental and personal, not designer brands. While all the bridesmaids were discussing in the chat what they could buy for her, I messaged her privately and apologized that I wouldn't be able to buy anything. She completely went off at me, saying that my financial issues shouldn't get in the way of her wedding. I got pretty upset as this isn't the Maria I've known my whole life, and well, she is well aware of my issues with money. I told her that if this is the way she's acting, I wouldn't buy her anything at all. So she's removed me from the wedding party chat, and I've had several angry messages from Mike and the bridesmaids telling me what a horrible friend I am. I'm feeling very conflicted about whether I'm in the wrong. Am I the a-hole? Now, as tempting as it is to absolutely bag out this stupid sort of comment, your financial issues shouldn't get in the way of my wedding. Ugh, please. You may be a gaping a-hole, but you're not that big of an a-hole where you're the center of the universe. Anyway, later on we get an update which reveals that you kinda have to pity a-hole friend. Thank you everyone for your comments. It has been 3 weeks since I dropped out of the wedding party, and I am still getting calls from Mike and the bridesmaids. I spoke to a couple friends and asked for advice, and like a lot of comments said, they advised just to be there for Maria and try to reach out if possible. I messaged her last week asking to meet for a coffee, and after being left on red for a few days, she agreed. I spoke to her explaining my concerns about the marriage and why I decided to drop out of the wedding party. She stayed silent through all of it, and when I finished, she broke down in tears so badly she couldn't speak. I took her back to my place, and once she calmed down, she explained what was really happening. Like I said, Mike lives off his parents' fortune. Turns out his parents had a deal. He could only continue using their money as long as he got married by 35. As he was quickly reaching this deadline, he found a young, pretty girlfriend and rushed into marriage so he could continue his luxury lifestyle. But Maria found this out at a family dinner back in July. Maria tried to confront him, but he threatened her with taking all her money, leaving her jobless and without a place to live. Mike's parents also have a prenuptial in the works, and Maria confessed that she has been stalling it as long as she can. She also explained to me that the bridesmaids, or new friends, had been picked by Mike as daughters of his father's friends, and they all made fun of Maria for being previously poor. Because of this, she felt like she had to change, hence the dramatic personality change and expensive registry. It all went down after I dropped out of the party. Maria caught Mike cheating with an even younger girl. She found messages of them sexting and evidence of her coming to their house. She confronted him, and he denied everything, deleted all evidence, and tried to gaslight her into thinking she made it up. She was sleeping in the spare room until we met up, and right now, she's staying on the couch in my apartment. Last night, she officially called off the engagement, and both me and her have been receiving hateful messages all night. We're making a plan at the moment to help her cut ties with Mike, get back on track with college, and find a job again. I'm still mad at her for what she did to me, and it will take a very long time for our friendship to get back on track, but I am trying my best to support her. Again, thank you everyone for your comments and feedback. I really appreciate it. While she still has a long way to go, I am happy to see that the person I knew and loved is slowly coming back. One thing I find just so confusing about this, especially on the D-bag that is Mike's hand of it all, as this comment here says, Mike could have found some woman willing to marry him just for the money and let him fool around on the side as well if he was just upfront about it all. Like, yeah, her upkeep would cost more since it was a purely transactional relationship, but it sounds like he has enough money coming in to have his cake and eat it too. Yeah, I know someone who very much is in a marriage like this. Dude makes a lot of money and the wife is a stay-at-home mother. She knows he's cheating, prostitutes, etc., but she likes the lifestyle and just pretty much ignores it. She's always been materialistic, so it's a means to an end, I guess. Whether or not that's healthy for your psyche, debatable. Yeah, rich people take small setbacks so incredibly poorly, it's amazing to watch. Well, when you have wealth from birth, you grow up in a pillowy cocoon that shields you from hardship or failures. So, when you are an adult and inevitably things happen that you can't just buy off, they have no resilience to deal with it. Anyway, with that technically concluded story, let's move on to the next one. Our next story began 3 days ago with daily updates, and if you ever feel like you have a bad friend group, I assure you, it could be worse. The story begins as a 26 female. I've been married to my husband Dylan, 26 as well, for 3 years. We got together when we were 17, but we've known each other since the 4th grade. I love my husband. He's the total package. Funny, sweet, smart, and attractive. He's made my life amazing, and he's who I fully intended on spending the rest of my life with. We attended all the same schools from the time we met up until college. In that time, we've both made our own friend groups. He's been more connected with his friends than I have, and because of that, I've become a part of the group as well. I'd like to think, well, in that time, I've been at around 50% of their group hangouts, mostly because of my job, but sometimes I'm just straight up not invited, which, I mean, should be an immediate red flag, but we go on. I didn't question any of this because, hey, they're his friends. He doesn't see them nearly as often as he sees me. It's not my business. Well, my husband met his best friend, Caro, who's 27, long before he met me. I knew almost nothing about Caro until recently. He wasn't at our wedding, nor did he attend any of the same schools as us, and I was under the impression he wasn't friends with anyone in our group. I thought all of this was because of his line of work, as I was told he traveled a lot. Last year, me and my husband went to a barbecue hosted by another couple in the group. Caro was there. I didn't recognize him at first, but when I realized who he was, I was honestly kind of shocked. I'd seen him in person before, but he always kept a very good distance from me, which I'm realizing now was intentional. Anyways, he's totally stunning. He looks like he could be a supermodel. When I attempted to make conversation with him, he seemed really nervous and totally shut me down after a few sentences. When I mentioned this behavior to anyone else, they also shut me down, saying things like, "Oh, that's just how he is," or "Maybe you said something that offended him." In short, no one would tell me anything about Caro at all. Any conversation that involved him was a no-go. At the end of that night, I tried talking to Dylan about his behavior. He told me Caro didn't like me. I was confused, because I'd hardly seen him in person at all, let alone actually talked to him. The excuse my husband gave was that he disliked me because I cheated on my husband once in college, and Caro was too stubborn to let it go. Yes, you heard that right, she admits to cheating on her husband and is acting like a victim in all this, but don't worry, this gets clarified later on, so take note of that with a grain of salt. Trust me when I say she is still absolutely the victim in all this. Now, I've seen Caro less than a dozen times since then, mostly at birthday parties, huge get-togethers, and on one occasion, he came to our house to watch a football game with my husband and a few of their other buddies. So if it isn't becoming clear yet, obviously, Dylan and Caro here have a secret relationship. A secret gay life together unbeknownst to this innocent OP. But the revelation it evolved to OP is in the most ridiculous way. Okay, you think, if you're trying to keep a relationship secret, you wouldn't post it on social media, would you? Anyways, a few weeks ago, my husband went fishing with his cousin. The same night, I had some of the girls in our friend group over for a girls' night type thing. Lily, 24 female, was scrolling through some social media. I was glancing over her shoulder when I saw a selfie of Dylan and Caro sitting next to each other in a hot tub. The selfie had been posted maybe 30 minutes ago. I asked Lily about what I had seen, and she went pale. She tried saying nothing, but I snatched the phone from her and went to the profile that posted the photo. The profile belonged to my husband. It was a private profile, and scrolling through the photos, most of them were dirty jokes or memes, but the rest of them were photos of him and Caro. Either they were hanging out alone, or with the rest of the group, minus me. Most of the photos, they seemed way too close, too touchy, or doing things that seemed too personal or intimate for friends to be doing. I spent a good 10 minutes looking before I couldn't take it anymore. I was horrified. All of the photos were dated to nights my husband told me he was working late, hanging out with his relative or that, times that he told me he was doing something else, and obviously hangouts I wasn't invited to. Lily just sat there looking dumb. She didn't say anything, but all the girls were looking at us like a bomb had just gone off. They clearly knew what I had seen, and their reactions were enough to confirm exactly what I was afraid of. I was livid. I started yelling, Lily was crying, and the rest of the girls were freaking out. When I started to calm down and demanded that they explain what was going on, Lily told me everything. Dylan and Caro had been sleeping together, and very essentially dating behind my back since before we even got married. They got together during a 1-month break me and Dylan had during college, and they stuck together ever since. Yeah, so you remember her talking about apparently cheating on her husband during college? How hypocritical of you to judge, Caro. Though, obviously, this was just something that the husband was making up to be an excuse for Caro's distance. They all knew, and none of them told me until I found out the hard way. Caro wasn't at our wedding because he felt guilty. He avoided me like the freaking plague because he felt guilty. They arranged group meetups in a group chat I wasn't in because they all like Caro enough to spare his feelings. Even the guys in the group felt the same way about him, apparently. Caro was never as distant as I thought he was just being hidden. Dylan was hiding him from me because he didn't want me to find out that they were together. By the end of it, half of us were sobbing, and everyone who wasn't was apologizing to me. I was so angry. I made them swear that they wouldn't say anything to Dylan or anyone else. I kicked them all out and cried myself to sleep. I was basically in denial, like it was some kind of sick freaking prank. My husband didn't come home until the next morning. He told me all about the supposed fishing trip he'd went on. I didn't say anything about what I knew. I guess he could tell something was up, because he kept asking me what was wrong, all day, every 5 freaking minutes. Eventually, I just told him I'd been in an argument with my sister. By the end of the week, I was totally numb. Last night, while my husband was handing out candy to kids, I saw a notification pop up on his phone. Since I knew his password, I opened it. It was a text from Caro. I looked through the conversations they'd had. It confirmed everything. It was devastating. Dylan texted Caro the exact same way he texted me. He told Caro he loved him. Every sweet thing he said to me had been said in his conversations with Caro. I was hardly mentioned. I put his phone back before he noticed. Dylan is at work now. I don't know what to do. Could never imagine myself leaving Dylan because he's such a loving partner and a good man, but I can't see myself winning in a competition against Caro if that's what it comes down to. I can't even make myself be disgusted or angered by Dylan. I love him too much. I'm not even upset with Caro, but I'm so hurt. I don't want to risk losing my husband, and I don't want to share him. I called Lily and my sister this morning and told them about what I had found. They both asked what I'm going to do, and I had nothing to say. I don't know what to do at all. After that horrific revelation in a relationship and your own life, we come to the next update, which is just short, but it says, "Hi, I really appreciate the support and advice I was given on my last post. Dylan came home last night around 10. I had a whole speech prepared to confront him with, but I could only end up saying, I know about you and Caro. I'll spare the details of the conversation because it's still raw, but he left around midnight. He only took a few of his things. I haven't spoken to him since, aside from him telling me he was coming to get more of his things, and after our conversation, I've decided to go through with divorce. Collected all the necessary information, and I'll be getting in touch with a lawyer shortly. Again, thank you all for the advice and help to come to my senses." And I've just got to highlight the good mod here. Can we all just say, frick Dylan? Get it trending with a hashtag. And agreed, next step, dump those dreadful friends that, let's be honest, they'd be too ashamed to hang out with you ever again anyway. Like some more people say, it is truly fascinating that such a large group of people could collectively be a part of this lie. Like not one of them has any sort of moral conscience. But anyway, we'll move on to the latest update. Whereas typical with these kind of stories, it's gotten a lot of views and become viral on the TikTok-y. So there are several things I want to address, and I asked that whoever made that video, because they clearly use Reddit, post this too, to clear my name. Everybody in my life knows by now, so I see no harm in addressing you personally. To recap, yes, I am leaving Dylan. No, I did not actually cheat on him. It was a huge misunderstanding between the two of us that led him to believe and tell people that I cheated. I don't even know if what he told me about Caro's dislike for me is or was true. Which again, very hypocritical to be saying that about her when you were literally the one doing the long con cheating. No, I am not going to sue him for everything he has. I will no longer be speaking to anyone from that group. I may have been naive, but I am not stupid. No, I still do not know why they chose to betray me like that, and I don't intend on finding out. Yes, while his parents were accepting of LGBTQ, I don't think they would have been okay with Dylan marrying a man. From here on out, I doubt I will have anything to say. That is all. Thank you. Also, I have never watched Brokeback Mountain, but the jokes about it did make me chuckle. The entire Reddit community is rooting for you. We wish you the best. Frick Dylan. He can go be like a Russian warship for all we care. Of course, a wave of support from the people in the comments, and I'm sure from the internet at large. But it will obviously take more than this to recover from such an experience. Gosh, heartbreak alone is hard enough. Being cheated on is hard enough. But to go through all this as well, I can only pray and hope that Dylan trips over and gets his nutsack penetrated by a rusty nail. Anyway, with that said, we'll end today's video there. Thank you, of course, for watching as always. Heart goes out to the people dealing with these things, and I hope that by us having a discourse online, they come across it themselves and gain some further insight if they haven't already from the multitude of people commenting on their posts. Anyway, you be good, drink your water, it's healthy and does the glug glug noise when you slurp it. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.